All righty, welcome back for another episode of Two Plane Sports. Today we've got kind of a hodgepodge of things to talk about. We got put in OU got put in a top seven. We're going to talk a little bit about the scheduling and a few other OU related things as we go through the video and getting Brandon's opinion, Jose's opinion, and I want to hear what you guys have to say on all this stuff that we're going to talk about. But before we get into it, I just want to say we really appreciate it. We're 4,200 some odd subscribers. Let's get to 4,300. We've got a goal of 10,000 by the end of this year. I think it's very doable, but it's only doable if you guys hit the button, turn the notification bell, share the link with a friend or Facebook or Twitter or whatever you use. Share it, post it on Reddit. I don't know, whatever you use, and spread the word. And so find us on our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, and Spotify. Everything's linked below. And we'll just keep the content coming your way. So the first guy we'll talk about, or the first topic we're going to talk about, is OU got put into a top seven for a linebacker, which seems like OU's been getting in top sevens, top fives, top tens for linebackers all over the place. This guy, I don't think we've talked about him on this show, is Darian Julett. He's a 2023 four-star, number 360 overall, and number 29 edge player in the class. He's 6'2", 220 pounds, from Marlin, Texas. His top seven included A&M, Texas, Miami, Alabama, Ohio State, Florida, and Oklahoma. His senior season, he had a total of 125 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, couple picks. He also caught the ball as well, 62 catches, 1,430 yards. Just a dynamic player. He was in 2021. He was a Texas District co-MVP as a junior. He's been all over the place. He plays basketball. He does track and field. He plays football. Multi-sport athlete. Just a specimen, basically. Jose, what do you think on him? And just a freak athlete that I feel like could bring a lot of stuff for OU.
You're muted.
Yeah, you're muted, bud.
Oh, my bad. Darian's very versatile in like his athleticism. I think whenever Brandon and I did our last video when he was last on, we talked about like how this staff seems to be going after either a football player that plays on all or multiple phases of the game or multiple positions, or a guy that just plays every sport that's offered at their high school, it seems like. And Darian fits that mold. He's a basketball player. He throws shot put and plays linebacker. And like you just said, plays offense occasionally for the football team. So the dude is just a straight up athlete. He for the linebacker position, he's very much, if you look at his highlights, I'm not going to say he's exactly like a Jaron Kanik, but the way he plays is very much like just see ball, and he was going to go destroy someone. Whoever is the nearest to the ball is about to get hit really, really hard, which is fun to see because if you watch his highlights on 24/7, there's one on special teams, and he just goes after the guy that's about to try to get his returner, and the guy didn't even see him. The guy didn't see him coming, and he just kind of flew for a couple of yards, and it's kind of fun to watch because. Again, Oklahoma has been struggling in the tackling department over the last couple of years, maybe improved a little bit, but I think with the players that we're recruiting, with the staff that's there on the defensive side of the ball, all that's going to change. And he's going to, hopefully he can be a part of that movement to have really aggressive linebackers that can attack, when at the point of the catch.
It's so hard not to get excited, like super, super excited about all these things. We've talked about the DBs multiple times with the guys that are, Jaden Rowe, Robert Spears Jennings, Tyler Turner, who we talked about in the last podcast, a big defensive back we're excited about. You look at Darian Gillett, who, as Brian mentioned, and we all have now. The dude plays like every sport in his high school, it seems like. On football, he had 125 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 2 picks, whatever it was. He also had 1,500 receiving yards. So, like, the dude literally didn't get any break time. So he's obviously just in freaky athletic shape. He's got great size. He finds the ball, as you were mentioning, Hose, hits it. You pair a guy like that with the Kobe McKenzie's of the world one day, and the Jaron. I'm so excited thinking about the possibility of just what can be if all this stuff goes well. And that's it's really like we're starting to see every level of the defense with these recruits that we talked about. If we hit on these 2024 D linemen, if we hit on this 2023 linebacker, and some of these corners and safeties we talked about, that defense is going to be ridiculously scary. And granted, it's all just talk right now because we get excited and we're making these top 5s, top 7s, which is great. But at some point we have to start not making top 5s or top 3s or top 2s and closing. And maybe eventually it's going to come. This is a kid you'd love to have. I'm reading his 24/7 profile right now. It also says Class 3A, first team All-State selection at both wide receiver and punter by the Texas Sports Writers Association. So apparently he didn't even get breaks on special teams, really. So the dude's playing defense as a starter, starting at receiver, and then if the offense stalls, he's got to go out there and punt the shit out of it, and then line up right. I mean, if that's right, if I don't know if I meant to say punt returner, but the 24/7 page definitely says both wide receiver and punter. So it's just like a dude can do everything. You mentioned his shot put, 43-0 in shot put. It's hard not to get really, really excited about this and the possibility of what that defense can be. But again, we got to stop making top 5s, we got to keep making top 5s and top 7s, but we got to stopping at that mark and start closing and start reeling off some of these commitments, because then this team's going to be really scary down the line.
Yeah. And the thing is with it, he's already been on campus. He came up for junior day in early March. I think it was March 5th, I believe. So he's already been on campus. He's got his official locked in with OU for June 3rd, a little over a week away as we're recording this. And then he's got an official visit set up with Ohio State on the 10th. And then he's visiting Texas on the 24th. So he's already got 3 out of 5 official visits lined up. And with him taking all his officials, I'm just assuming that he'll make his decision sometime this summer or before his senior season starts. If you're going to use all your officials in the summer, I don't see why you would do that and then not commit thereafter. I just feel like if you're going to commit in the fall, you would just want to go attend games. That's at least my opinion. If you were, I would wait until the fall and then go visit game days and get that experience. But if you're visiting in the summer, I feel like he'll decide in the summer. So OU's got to be in a good, you got to feel that they're in a good spot, getting him on campus for a second time. And, Marlin, Texas isn't that far away for him to come up for another unofficial between now and early national signing day. Someone to watch and a great prospect for OU, hopefully to lock up, and Brent Venables to close out. So we're going to, go ahead.
He's also stamped. I forgot to say that. I like to talk about all the guys that are stamped. He's stamped. I forgot it, but there it is.
He is stamped with the Alabama approval. I believe he's also unofficially visited Alabama as well. So they might be playing into his recruitment as well. So we're going to move on to the next thing. And I guess before we move on, next weekend, as we're recording this on Thursday, May 26th, is the Champ U Barbecue, June 3rd. That weekend is going to be crazy. It's going to be huge. All of next week, we're going to have a lot of discussion, a lot of previews, a lot of insight on that. And we might even release a 4th video next week just because of how much content and how many people are going to show up. So be sure to be, keeping your eye out for that. Turn that notification bell, subscribe, because this weekend or this following weekend, I feel like will be the start of the run of commitments that OU is going to get for the summer. And then, it won't be everyone, but I think you're going to see 3 or 4 commitments trickle in not too long after.
God, I hope you're right.
I think so. I think a few kids are really close. I think the linebacker from Kansas City, PJ Adeswore, I forget how to say his last name, but I feel like he's close to committing. Dylan Edwards might pull the trigger, and a few other guys really might lock in their deals.
Who's the tight end that we talked about a couple episodes ago who's got more offers than anybody in the country at his position?
Reed.
Mikeska.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another one I think that we can.
But he's visiting Florida it's either he's visiting a Florida school. I'm pretty sure it's Florida or Miami, one of those in late June, if I recall. So probably got to wait for that to happen. Hopefully he doesn't take that visit and, he just decides to commit, but it seems like he's going to take that.
Yeah. And I think another guy that OU's actually in a pretty darn good spot for is Peyton Kirkland. We'll talk about him more next week, but I'm starting to kind of turn my thoughts on him. I thought he was a for sure Florida guy, but from what I've been seeing, it seems like he might be leaning a little more towards Oklahoma to come up with Derek LeBlanc. So a lot of stuff we're going to be talking about next week. A lot of good stuff.
Green making his announcement too soon?
Yeah, in July.
July.
Yeah.
July. I thought it was sooner than that.
It might be sooner. He locked in his announcement with CBS HQ, so I don't know exactly, but it's either June or July. I think because he's got officials set up.
He's committing on July 8th.
July
Okay.
8th.
I thought I read June, so I got excited, but I guess July.
So he just came off of his official visit from Nebraska. He'll be taking his next one to OU on the 3rd for Champ U. Then he'll go to LSU, then Michigan, and then end it with Missouri.
Yeah,
at the end of June.
And that's another kid I could see pulling the trigger quickly. That's in my mind. A month after is quickly to me. I feel like OU's in a great spot for him, and he'll hop on board. So something to keep your guys' eye on. We're going to be looking. We're going to be just following everything and talking about it. So we're going to kind of move on to something else, kind of more general OU football talk. Some kick times and some dates have been released for the upcoming schedule. I'll just read it off. The UTEP game is September 3rd at 2:30. Kent State, September 10th at 6 p.m. Not pay-per-view, but ESPN Plus. That is awesome. Nebraska, 11 a.m. Texas, October 8th, to be determined. October 29th for Iowa State, and the time is to be determined. What I love about the Iowa State date is originally OU was slated to play that on a Thursday night. They are now going to be playing it on Saturday, the 29th. They were going to do one of those Thursday night specials. I don't know if you guys remember, but when we were in college, there was a Thursday night OU Iowa State when we were on the road against the Cyclones. I don't know if that was in 2016 or 17. I can't remember. But I'm glad that they're going to be playing on a Saturday. But just quickly glancing at the schedule, and we kind of talked about it before we recorded. I mean, I see that Nebraska at 11 a.m. and that's that Fox. I know that's their prime time, and I get it. But man, that just makes me can't wait for the SEC. Brandon, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. It's really a crying shame that a game like that, and granted, like, Nebraska is not the power that they used to be back when OU and Nebraska was like a huge rivalry, when the schools hated each other and played all the time, the Switzer days and stuff like that, when it was usually a 1-versus-2 matchup. Granted, we're too young to have been able to watch that game, but we're historians of OU football, and we know enough that they were really highly ranked teams and really hated each other, and it was a solid rivalry. So, I mean, just for that in itself, last year we had, what was it, the 100th or the 100th anniversary game of the game or whatever. Which, it's historically, it's a long-standing college football rivalry between two teams who don't really like each other. Nebraska, they've fallen off from their glory days, if you will. Oklahoma, although we haven't won a national title since 2000, we're still a perennial top 5, top 10 team every single year. Hasn't been really a huge drop for us, but I just think the history of that game, I'm curious to see what other games are playing that weekend, what they do put in the primetime slot. I'm sure it'll be some SEC match. It'll be Florida versus Tennessee or something. To me, it's ridiculous, but yeah, I couldn't agree more with your SEC thing, Brum. As soon as we get out of this mid-major conference and join the Southeastern Conference, we'll finally start to see those 7:00 kicks and the stuff that we're excited about. It's only going to help recruiting and everything going forward. But the Nebraska-Oklahoma game specifically should absolutely be, in my opinion, a 6:00 kickoff or something.
Yeah, I agree. It's some bullshit that this is still happening. Like, you would think, even though like it's already a done deal that Oklahoma's leaving, like trying to put them in, like Fox trying to put them in a position to still be a cash cow for them for the next however many years Oklahoma is going to be on Fox. Like, milk it as much as they can because they're about to lose Oklahoma and Texas. So why are you putting? Because I feel like the reason that Texas and Oklahoma is still to be determined is probably because they want to see where they're at, where both schools are at record wise. But it seems like it's more than likely going to be a morning game as usual. And yeah, maybe Joel and Gus will be on the call, but Jesus, it makes it hard for, like you said, recruiting, because especially if it's out of state kids, makes it harder for them to get there because of the travel. You know, they have school, like it's going to be tough for them to take, you know, X amount of days off school. We're not the only university they're going to travel to. And if they have it, you know, let's say they're visiting Michigan or Ohio State, they get a lot more, even middle of the day games. Like 2:30 would be, I think would be perfect. I don't even care that we're not getting a lot of night games. Like I'm 2 hours behind most or like half the football season living in Arizona. And I'm getting up at like, I have to be in front of the TV by 9 a.m. on a Saturday, which, you know, cuts my Friday nights a little short sometimes.
That's what I'm so like. Imagine like if we're recruiting kids from the western part of the country, Oregon, Arizona, California, whatever. If these kids play a Friday night game at 7 p.m. local time for them, it's a 3-hour game. Then they got to shower. If they're then they have to get on a flight right away, essentially, or 1 a.m. Touchdown in Oklahoma, lose 2 hours, get 2 or 3 hours of sleep, and have to be at the game at 11, but it'll feel like 9 a.m. to that. It's ridiculous. I mean, that's it's difficult, I imagine, to pull these kids from the West to be at your games because of stuff like that. So at these primetime kicks, it's just when we finally start to get them, it's just going to do wonders, I think.
Yeah, Jose, I totally agree. I mean, it doesn't even have to be 6 o'clock. 2:30 games. I remember, and when we were there and going to every single game, I loved the 2:30 kicks. They were right in the middle of the day. You could be done by 6. You can go do whatever you want, catch the late kicks, go hang out. But yeah, I mean, that puts OU and honestly this whole Big 12 conference at a disadvantage. How do you play a game at 6 or 7 and at night for the high, as a high schooler, you're not done till 9:30. How many flights are leaving after the game? I mean, you're right, Brandon, you have to go shower, you have to go grab your bags. You get on a flight and you maybe land in Norman at 1 o'clock in the morning, or you get up for a 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning flight, and then you fly wherever you're coming. I mean, it's just a pain. I mean, not that every game has to be at 2:30 or 6 o'clock, because you're always going to have some 11 a.m. kicks, but this conference is at such a disadvantage to be playing most of their games, big games, at 11 a.m. And that's what Fox is trying to do. And I get it. That's their slot because they don't want to compete against ABC, because how are you going to compete against ABC? You're just not. But I don't know. And I did look up because I was trying to remember what game and what year that was. It was November 3rd, 2016. In Ames, Iowa. OU ended up winning 37-27, but I specifically remember that game.
Spin game?
Yeah.
What?
We were at O'Connell's watching that game.
Yeah.
But
twice.
Yeah. So no, I remember that game. But yeah, I'm glad we're not playing a Thursday night game. I sound spoiled, but OU should not be playing Thursday nights. I just don't feel like we belong there. But and then I just have to throw this in here, but I found it funny that Lincoln Riley's first game is on the Pac-12 network at 3 p.m. Pacific time. I know the Pac-12
going to be on that.
Yeah, and I know the Pac-12 is trying to lock it down, but there would have been a lot more eyeballs if it would have been on Fox or something like that. But I'm sure the Pac-12 made sure that it was going to be on their network. I just think it's funny that they went out of their way to make sure it was on the Pac-12 network. I hope he enjoys the poor viewership and poor attendance that he's about to deal with out there.
I wonder if the fact, the coaches probably think about this a lot more than any fans do. I wonder if that's why Venables is targeting a lot more of Florida recruits, going up more to the east than Lincoln Riley was. Because I think, and it's not like this is like some special bad situation that Oklahoma's in for this year. Like even Lincoln Riley did have a tough time getting some of the recruits that were from California to come to visit during the season, because like we said, it's a tough situation for these kids to be out of a game and try to get to a flight to try to get to Oklahoma. It's not easy, especially even when they're on the West Coast. So if he's recruiting more Florida, you would think would be maybe a little easier, because they can, I don't know, maybe the time just fits a little better. Even still, it's still tough, but they would be gaining an hour since they're coming to Central Time, but that's not enough of a difference. Like, you would think Central Time would get a bigger advantage because it's the middle of the country, but it doesn't. I don't know. Makes no sense why there's always so many 11 a.m. games for Oklahoma.
Yeah. I mean, not that it'll never happen in the SEC. I'm sure it will, but it just won't be quite as frequent, which will be nice. So that's kind of what we got on football, at least for this episode. So if you guys don't care about other OU sports, then you can turn it off. But we on this podcast, we like and support other sports. So I want to talk about the baseball team, OU baseball. You know, and I'm not going to sit here and claim that I've watched every game, because I don't. I just don't have time. But you know, I keep up with them on Twitter. I follow their schedule. I follow their standings and whatnot. You know, they had an end of the regular season. They had a 3-game set with Texas Tech, which Tech is one of the top teams in the country overall. They won 2 out of 3. They were looking to sweep them, because if they would have swept them, they would have had a share with TCU of the Big 12 championship, which for this baseball team to have had that opportunity, granted they lost the 3rd and final game, this team is really good. And I really think that and they're playing live right now. Brandon, do they?
Yeah, like literally as you're talking, the bases were loaded for OU. Peyton Graham just hit a single, drove in 2. They're up 5-1 with runners on the corners. Top of the 7th right now against Texas Tech.
Yeah, so Texas Tech, again, OU is currently playing one of the best teams in the country, and it's a double elimination. For anyone that doesn't know, it's a double elimination bracket. OU in their first game last night, so it would have been Wednesday night, they beat West Virginia with, because there was a grand slam in the 1st or 2nd inning, I can't remember, and they jumped on West Virginia, and then they never relinquished the lead, and they're up 5-1, as you said, Brandon, as we're recording this on Tech. I might look like a goofball, but I think they're going to hold on, and they'll go on to play the winner of the loser side of the bracket. If they do that, man, they're going to have a chance to run to the Big 12 championship, because if they can get rid of Texas Tech, who's going to be left? Tech's going to it's double elimination, so Tech will go to the loser side, but they're going to have all the advantage. They'll probably play Tech again, and then they just got to beat them once for a chance to go play for the Big 12 championship. I think they could go win it. Am I biased? Yes, but I legitimately think this team is good enough to go win the Big 12 championship.
No, as you were talking again, Peyton Graham was at first, and they tried to pick him off. He got caught in a rundown. Texas Tech threw the ball into the outfield, so the runner on third scored. It's 6-1 now. So I like Oklahoma's odds to hold on to this one, as they only need 9 more outs with the 6-run lead. But if they do hold on and win this one, Texas Tech was a size number 5 in the country at one point. They're number 8 right now, but that'll be 4-1 against Texas Tech for this baseball team, with 3 of those wins coming at Tech. One of them at I think they play like a neutral site, San Antonio or something, and then this game's in Dallas for the tournament. So, all the wins against Tech will have been not at home. They split with Oklahoma State, who's I believe a top 10 ranked team, and realistically they should have won 3. They totally choked one. It's tough to watch. Mm-hmm. And I think they're 500 with Texas, who's also a top 15 team, and they choked one of those too. They had a 7-run lead in the 7th against Texas one of those games and just choked it away. I think the area of weakness for this baseball team is I think it's got to be the bullpen. The
Oh
starters.
my gosh,
The
yeah.
starters are pretty solid. We steal more bags than anybody in the Big 12. We play very aggressive on the base paths, and it's been working. They're finally cracked the top 25. They're 22, but I think that's. I think it's laughable. I think with what they've done, should be a little higher than that. But I agree. We're probably biased, but there's no reason why they can't win the Big 12.
I mean, they're 2-1 against TCU, and they're the number one team in the Big 12.
Yeah.
I mean, this team's good. Jose, what do you think?
What you guys said. I'm not gonna lie, like I keep up with it, but like not as much as you guys because I'm not like a big baseball guy. Like I just keep up with it because it's Oklahoma, and I mean it's cool that like I remember when we were in school, we would go to baseball games because they were free and like they're fun to go to occasionally. In my opinion, you guys are more bigger baseball fans than I am, so you guys enjoyed it more. But like the environment's really fun, so I'm assuming that now that they're competing to potentially win a Big 12 championship, I'm sure that stadium is a good time to be at, and beer sales are there now, so even better. And especially when you're in the outfield, and hopefully these guys are putting some balls out there for the fans to grab.
Yeah, I mean they are at Globe Life Field, so they are playing in Dallas for this Big 12 tournament, but it doesn't matter. But whether they win the Big 12 or not, that's going to be something we're going to have to watch. They're going to have a shot. I really think they will. But this team has a legitimate chance to go run for the College World Series and make it. I'm not saying that they're going to win it all, but there's a legitimate chance. And honestly, for them to be competing like this is enough for me right now because this baseball team, this baseball program has been rough as of recent over the last few years.
I think they were going to be nasty in 2020, and then
they were 14-4 that year. I just looked it up.
Damn COVID got everybody.
Yeah, I got everyone. So, pretty exciting stuff. Hopefully they hold on. We might look like idiots and Tech will come back and then OU will somehow choke it. I mean, it's very possible with this bullpen.
Talk about blowing a 7-run lead against Texas in the 7th, and they blew a 5-run lead against Oklahoma State in the 8th. So pump our brakes, but it looks good right now.
Yeah, and it is double elimination, so it's something we'll keep an eye on. But so that's all we really got. I mean, we'll keep an eye on as we're going through finishing up recording this. Another sport we got to touch on and we haven't talked too much about is softball. I've been watching a lot of softball games, especially in the last 5 years. I actually really enjoy softball, and I feel like a lot of people are starting to watch that as a sport nationally. OU number 1 overall seed. Only lost 2 games. They're playing UCF starting tomorrow, as you're watching this today. I don't think they're going to have any issues with UCF. It's best of 3. They'll probably handle them. They'll probably 2-0 them. I think the big news story is the fact that Jordy Ball threw a bullpen session earlier Thursday. There's a lot of optimism with her throwing and being able to return to the starting lineup, which would be huge. Not that OU necessarily needs her for this super regional, but she will be needed for the College World Series. You're going to have her, and it's always nice when it's in your own backyard. Teams I look at in the big, that really could be an issue for OU. I mean, obviously they're going to play, OSU if they make it. I mean, OSU plays them tough and they actually beat them. I think Texas is all right, but I really think Arkansas is really good. And Arkansas actually just beat Texas today. Arkansas, I really think is going to be one of their biggest threats. What do you guys think?
Well, I think that it's cool that this team is getting a lot of national recognition. Like, softball doesn't really get talked about in the national media, but they were on the cover of an ESPN article recently. And like this team itself, just how dominant they are is getting covered. Jocelyn Allo, like she is probably the example of what NIL was intended to be. She performed. She's probably one of the best softball players to ever play the sport, and she's being compensated for it. I think she's earned every bit that she's received at this point, and hopefully she gets more. I saw that she got drafted in the professional softball league, I believe. So I'm not sure if her intentions are to continue, but if they are, hopefully she continues to hit bombs. I'm sure she will. But I saw that Patty Gasso, I read a little bit of the article, and Gasso said that some of her old players have reached out to her and started saying that she's becoming a little soft on her current players, and her rebuttal is that she's not getting soft, she's just changing to the times and trying to be a little bit more loose so her players can play free and have fun out there. And I think that's like one thing that softball is really good at, like with keeping fans entertained. Like the girls are always like, they'll celebrate everything. I think the team environment, like they're all super supportive of each other. Not that other sports aren't, but like they'll celebrate everything. They're always doing their hand signals to each other. And I think, like, personally, to me, someone that doesn't watch like baseball or softball regularly, like that's what kept me like entertained. Obviously their talent and how good they are, but like how much fun they're having out there. They're just fucking having a blast, winning every single game and trying to run rule every single time. I know they struggled there for a little bit towards the end of the season, but I think hopefully if Jordy Ball comes back, they'll just run through this tournament. I know last year we did have a couple tough matchups, but if they do the same thing they did last year, I don't think anyone would complain going back to back in national championships.
No, whatever Patty Gasso's doing, soft or not, I don't really care. Whatever she's doing is clearly working. This team run ruled 37 of the 54 games they played. They're got to be like 52-2 or something to this point of the season. Pretty much in Patty we trust. Whatever she's doing, it's clearly working. Let's rock with it. This team's going to repeat. I agree there's some tough matchups out there. But I just think at the end of the day, I don't think there's anybody in the country that can beat Oklahoma twice in softball.
Go ahead.
What's funny that's been happening recently with this team is how A&M, for some reason, they believe that they're going to take Patty Gasso away from Oklahoma, which is an interesting thought. Why would she leave OU? Like, whatever happened to Lincoln Riley, it happened. Like, we weren't winning national championships with him. We were getting to the playoffs, but with Patty, like, she's putting together some of the best teams in the sport. Like, it's tough to beat the team. You have to play a flawless game against Oklahoma to even come close to winning. And there's no reason for her to leave at this point. She's always getting some of the best high school prospects out there. And she's literally building the Alabama of softball at Oklahoma.
Yeah, and she's about to get a brand new stadium, the Love Stadium. I mean, how many softball fields are brand new, and how nice what OU's about to get. As far as competition, I mean, Florida State's already been eliminated. They were the number 2 seed overall. You look through number 6, Alabama's already out. Number 13, Tennessee's out. Not saying that the rankings are everything, and UCLA is still in there, but I really think Arkansas is the big threat here. But I do think they handle it. And Oklahoma State's winning. They're playing right now against Clemson. They're up 2-0 as we're recording this. So that's all we really got. Watch the Big 12 baseball tournament. Watch the College World Series, the Softball World Series, and the Super Regionals this weekend. Support other programs. I'm sure a lot of you guys, if you're still watching, you're interested in them, and that's why you're still watching. Just turn them on. Just keep an eye on them. It's a lot of fun. So we're a multi-sport school, winning national titles left and right. And the women's tennis, I have to shout them out. They lost to Texas in the national championship, but they had a great year. First time we've ever been to the national championship for women's tennis. So that's good to see. I think that program is going in the right direction.
To watch too.
That is true. That's
finals.
Yeah. That's coming right in Jose's backyard in Scottsdale. So is that starting today, tomorrow? I can't remember.
It's I know it's this weekend, but unfortunately I will not be able to attend. But hopefully they have some good rounds out there and just absolutely destroy the rest of the field.
Yeah, no, I think they will. They're the number 1 overall team in the country. I mean, OU is winning. They're winning a lot, so it's good.
One team for for the the golf team, I hope they're not playing in the middle of the day. I hope they have a lot of early rounds because it is hot out here. I think it got to 106 today. So if you're golfing, like if their tee time is at noon, they're going to get the hell of the sun just beating on them. But hopefully they get a lot of like 8 or 9 a.m. tee times at the latest. We'll see.
Yeah, I think they start tomorrow, but I might be wrong. So as we're recording this, middle of the 7th of the OU baseball game, they're still up 6-1. Good spot to be in. So that's all we got. Brandon, do you have an individual challenge for the people?
Yes, of course. I like, Brum, just going to kind of echo your thoughts here about supporting other programs. And then granted, if you made it this far, you probably do support the other programs. So who's your favorite OU baseball player, favorite OU softball player? Let's just mix it up a little bit. Let's do a baseball and softball related in the video question. Be curious to see how many responses we get on this one. The diehards will be there.
The diehards will be there. The diehard Two Planes and OU sport fans. So be sure to do that. Hit the subscribe button. Turn the notification bell. OU's got a huge football recruiting weekend coming up next weekend. We'll be sure to be putting out a lot of content next week, and you don't want to miss it. So we'll catch you next time. We'll see you Monday on Memorial Day.